All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for The Dan Bongino Show.
You know, it's rare that I see a video on CNN that shocks me in a good way. I mean, let me just clarify. Like, seeing a video on CNN that shocks me is not new. It's usually for head-scratching reasons where you're thinking, did they just say that out loud? No one can possibly be that stupid. It's typically an Abby Phillips segment or some Caitlin Collins nonsense. And you're like, I can't believe they just said that. But Justin, wouldn't you agree? Like, you shared this video this morning and you're like, I can't believe this happened on CNN. Hey man, I'm not going to credit where I'm not giving CNN any credit for telling the truth. But I promise you, when you see this video, you're going to be stunned this happened on CNN. And I want you to watch the reaction of the guest. You know, I hate long, unnecessary teases. It's about socialism in Cuba. And the guest must have come on thinking, well, this is CNN. You know, of course they're going to cover for Castro and socialism. We love socialism and communism on CNN. And that's not what happens. And I want you to watch the reaction of the guest physically, who you see like the actual slinking into the chair. The guest doesn't know what to do and is at a loss for words. You may have seen it already. I don't know. It just started to get some traction on X this morning. I want to show you that. And then I want to show you another segment. Dan, this is way too many Democrats early in the show. No, folks, I somehow we've got to penetrate the fog out there of just ops that are going on. And if it takes a couple of Democrats on Democrat networks like C-SPAN and CNN to wake people up, folks, I'm going to take it. I don't need to celebrate it. I'm not voting Democrat ever. But another thing happened on CNN. It's funny. I didn't even tell Justin where I was going with the show. He goes, let me guess, you want these two together. I got that. And I want to explain to you something at the beginning of the show. Folks, I'm not being sarcastic or funny either about this. I know sometimes we start with a little bit of humor. That's not today. This is going to be the entertainment portion of the edutainment portion of the show. Hat tip BDP, right? Some of you get that. I'm going to put a warning out there for you for people who get in this business. I don't cover this stuff a lot, but I want to show you how what you see on X among the doomers and the grifters, this cultivated image of what is almost never what's going on behind the scenes. I'll show you exactly what I mean, because you may be asking yourself, man, yesterday was like doomer and grifter meltdown day. Why? What happened? Well, Florida happened. The primary season is almost effectively over now. Everything they told you that was going to happen about the doomers and grifters winning didn't happen. They all got destroyed. And now they're starting to realize as their audiences slowly fade off because they were lied to, that they need to keep the grift going. So yesterday was meltdown day. Meltdown day. I'll show you what I mean in a second. A lot to talk about. Hey, everyday expenses keep climbing. High credit card interest isn't making life any easier. If your budget's feeling squeezed lately, there's a smarter way to take back control. If you're a homeowner, your home equity is your best financial tool. American Financing can help you consolidate high-interest credit card debt so you have some breathing room. Timing matters now more than ever. With a strong chance of an interest rate hike coming this September, waiting could cost you thousands. And with rates in the fives, there's no better time to find out how much you could save. Ditch those 20% interest rates. By consolidating, you can slash your monthly obligations. In fact, American Financing, their borrowers save an average of $800 a month. Imagine what kind of cash flow that could do for your family. There are zero upfront fees, and you may even be able to delay up to 2 mortgage payments. American Financing can help you lock in a lower rate before September, but call today if you can. 888-994-7660. Don't wait. The number again, 888-994-7660, 888-994-7660. Call them today. If you want to visit them online, that's cool too. It's a .net address. AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. AmericanFinancing.net/Bongino. All right, fellas, let's go. And all the pillars and the doomers, I know you're here. You don't have to pretend you're not. I know you love the show. We get it. Oh, I didn't watch. I just heard it. Sure you did. And by the way, I feel amazing today. Thank you for hanging in while my voice was destroyed the last few days as I battled after school fungus. All the kids go back to school, you know, my daughter included. What do? They all bring home. Everyone in my neighborhood got the same thing. They got this cold all the kids brought home from school. I feel amazing today. You ever have a cold and you feel like crap for like 7 days? Finally, you wake up in the morning, you feel normal, but you feel extra great because you don't feel like crap? That's today. That's why I've got so much energy. I'm going to get to these CNN clips in a minute. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. But yesterday, folks, was meltdown day. So why the meltdown yesterday? I just explained it to you. They told you, the doomers, nothing is happening. The Trump administration sucks. Don't vote for Donald Trump. Don't show up. Our candidates have a better vision. The doomers and the grifter candidates, they all lost. They all got smoked. Matter of fact, some of them lost from seats they already had. You know how hard it is to lose as an incumbent on the Republican side? It's almost impossible. Some of them managed to do that. So given that it's nearly the end of this primary season here as votes are coming in, they're starting to realize now that everything they told their audience about this power base they have, please listen to me, this is critical. Because I got this question like, damn, what happened yesterday? You're always trending on X. Yes, because we're the most popular MAGA show out there. So you get like ankle biters that come in and want to grift off your name. They're upset because everything we told you, things we told you were going to happen are now starting to happen. Report in the Daily Mail about Swalwell today. Things are starting. So they told you nothing is happening, and now it's all happening. So that's a lie. They don't have anywhere to go with that. And then number two, they told you that the MAGA movement is going to be taken over by our guys now. These guys are so powerful. Look at all the tweets. Look at all the bots we've got. Shame on you guys for supporting President Trump. And everyone got smoked. Everyone got smoked. So they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. So yesterday was epic meltdown day. You saw like the Ozempic guys screaming and yelling yesterday about everyone wants to fight people, looking for like bare knuckle matches. The meltdown was just epic. There was another meltdown. Ronald McDonald, some guy, Ian Schroeder or something, had another meltdown, gets on another guy's show, who the other guy's upset. Why is he upset? This guy's been upset for years since I started having Scott Pressler on my show. That's the only reason. That's the only reason. So what do? Ronald McDonald here, Ian Schroeder, and the Stroker dude, they get on and say, nothing's happening, everything sucks, conveniently, right as the whole primary season is melting down for them. And the other guy's just upset because he doesn't like Scott Pressler. I was warned about the other guy a while ago. I haven't mentioned it too much. So what do? They have to like ankle bite at the show because they can't make the show go away. They've tried everything for 10 years between the doomers and the lefties and the media. They've tried everything and nothing happens. It's like that scene in a cartoon where you're holding the head of the guy and he's trying to punch and he can't punch it. That's what they don't know what else to do. So they freak out. Now you got Cody Prigioni on X like, the FBI's Dan Bongino organized January 6th. Yes, you're 100%. We definitely did that. That makes a whole lot of sense. Here's my regret in this, though. And I'm going to warn you if you get in the content space. Justin can vouch because he's been here the longest, but Justin too. Justin's been around forever. We were really accommodating with people early in our career. Well, why do you regret that? Because, folks, I'm going to be candid with you. There were a lot of people, including the guy who's melting down now because he hates Pressler. He just hates Scott. Whenever you have Scott on your show, this guy loses his mind, right? Like, what? I thought it was about the movement. No, to us it is. We give platforms to people like Vince and Haley and Sean Farish. We have people on the show when they have books coming out because I've said to you often, it's not about me. It's about the movement. To others, it's about them. It's not about the movement. They may have done some things that, you appreciate in the past. Doesn't make all their life's work a bad thing. But once you see these bizarre, unhinged meltdowns, you should ask yourself why. And usually it's because their ego got in the way and they think it's about them and not the movement. So my regret is early on in my career, wouldn't you agree, Justin? We were very accommodating to people we had on the show, even though there were a couple red flags, right? I mean, I'm being honest. My wife is a very good judge of character. And so is Guy too. Like Guy's really good at this too because Guy's so dry. He doesn't get emotional about anything. And a couple people we had on our show turned out later to be really bad folks. I'm really sorry. I am. I tried to be accommodating to give people a platform. Later on in my career, I realized like sometimes you just have to take a chance and ice people out. You have to keep your circle small. So that's my regret. You'll see now, over the last few years going forward, and after the experience in the FBI, when I got in there, the minute we got off the air, people who had just begged to come on the show and wanted to be friends of ours and all this stuff, all of a sudden, when they knew I couldn't say anything, because it's not about you when you're in the administration, turned on a dime. I'm just going to warn you if you get in this business, be really, really careful who you deal with. Because there are people in this business who it's all about them. It's not about the movement at all. They were exposed yesterday. They were exposed because everything they told you was real, completely fell apart when the last primary started to wrap up, and everything they told you was real just turned into complete AstroTurf. I promise you at the end of this 4 years of the Trump administration, when the body of work, both me and Cash and everyone else puts out versus the body of work on the other side, defamation suits, multiple. All of everything they told you falls apart in courts of law and elsewhere. It's going to be an embarrassing moment for all of them. Embarrassing. That's how confident I am in this. Let me get to this because this is important. Again, I don't think that was so. Usually I'd say sorry for wasting your time, but that's really critical. You get that. Things go on behind the scenes. There's little jealousy matches. People don't like each other. If you have one guest on and they're in the same space, they'll email you, that guy sucks, don't have him on. This happens. Does it not happen, Justin, all the time? I can't believe you had that guy on. Trust your buddy Dan. You think it's like, oh my gosh, what a good guy. I can't believe you went after that. This guy's so, okay. We're always right. Every single time. Every time. I saw this morning on CNN. And listen, there's a wow factor to this that we should all embrace. Like the wow factor on CNN is, wow, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Folks, we're in a moment right now, and I'm going to put this tweet up by the author J.K. Rowling. You know the Harry Potter series. You know who she is. J.K. Rowling's not a MAGA person at all, but she put a tweet up because I bet you're starting to say to yourself too, as you see all this stuff, and you're probably hearing this for the first time about these behind the scenes little like petty little grievances where people make it about themselves, so they become doomers and all that, and they lose their minds. You're probably like, Dan, what can we believe anymore? The answer is believe the truth. As I said, like we have a record of what we did at the FBI that involves numbers. People were either arrested or they weren't. Numbers went down or they didn't. Like we have a record. You can believe the truth when they're based in numbers. We're getting to a post-truth era right now, where you mention Lindsay Clancy, flock cameras, data centers, and people have an opinion, not you guys, based on almost pure emotion. It has nothing to do with, you can't reason. You can't run a society like that. I'll put the post up in a minute. But this is what happens when all of a sudden living on emotion and not reason and focusing on emotion rather than problem solving. This is what it looks like when it kicks you in the teeth on CNN. You're a socialist going on a network, and the host himself is like, hey, man, I'm not buying this socialism stuff from Cuba. Watch the reaction of the guest. He does not know what to do. This is what it looks like when finally reality kicks in. Check this out.
Get your criticism of foreign policy. As I said, it's not an uncommon one. But lauding Fidel Castro is a different story. You talk about what things were like before the revolution in Cuba. I'll give you a personal example. My grandfather was a revolutionary in Cuba during that time. He was affected by a previous dictator, Fulgencio Batista, having his friends disappeared in the street for speaking their minds. My grandfather found that revolution, hoping to bring democracy to Cuba. And then what happened? Fidel Castro locked my grandfather up, sentenced to 20 years for doing what you're doing now on live TV, for speaking his mind, for expressing himself freely, for trying to organize politically. So I wonder, again, how you think that lands with people who suffered under that dictatorship, who now you are trying to court as voters when your organization comes out and lauds 100 years of Castro. I don't think it would land well with them, Ashik.
We're seeing many people in the United States who are seeing who are struggling under massive inequality in the United States.
That's co-chair Ashik Sadiq. I'm not saying your name wrong on purpose. Forgive me, I'm not intentionally mispronouncing it. But a sheik. That's not at all what he asked you. Do you see, people, Pop-Tarts? What? I asked about Cuba. Banana flavored matcha? What? I asked you about Cuba. Look at the face on this guy. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, wait, I'm on CNN, right? You guys are pro-communism and socialism? What? Justin just pops out of the studio. He's like, you need to tell the audience, because you've been warning them about this, warning the socialists, that is, not you guys. You guys already know this. Folks, I live in Florida. It's not a mystery. I don't hide where I live. I live in South Florida. South Florida, from basically, Indian River down, the Treasure Coast in South Florida, has an extremely large population of Cuban and Venezuelan people who have had to live under actual socialism. I've said, gosh, I even said it, I think, on Laura Ingram's show last night. I dare you, as a Democrat Socialist of America, a Sheikh Sadiq, to go into any Cuban cafe in South Florida. I dare you, with a sign saying, we love Castro and Cuba, socialism is great. I'm actually I want to say I'm joking, but I'm not. But the only reason I want to say I'm joking is I'm really afraid you're not going to get out of there. And I don't want I'm not into violence at all. I'm genuinely afraid you won't make it out of there. Folks, this is what it looks like when reality crashes down on you. This is why I tied it into the doomers in the beginning who totally crashed out yesterday. The meltdowns were everywhere. Videos, tweets. It was like Little Bighorn, like The Last Stand. They didn't know what to do. The left is having this moment now. They're having the exact same moment at the end of primary season that the doomers are. The primary season is wrapped up. They just had a Democrat socialist candidate beat Vindman in Florida, a socialist in Florida full of Cubans and Venezuelans, and they don't know what to do. So now all of a sudden CNN and others, and good for the host, are having this moment where they're like, oh my gosh, this is real now. Now we have to run these people in real races. Do you understand this lady, Angie Nixon in Florida, who just won the nomination for the United States Senate race, is going to be in every single TV ad talking about the wonders of socialism in Florida from this point till Election Day? She's going to, it's the top of the ticket. I know there are Democrats listening who don't know this. She's not running for a state Senate race. It's a United States Senate seat, meaning, sorry for the non-idiots in the crowd, which is the Bongino army. The idiots are the liberals who watch my show and the doomers. I know you're here too. She's on everyone's ballot. Every single person that gets a ballot in Florida is going to see Angie Nixon, Democrat. Isn't that the one who said socialism is great? My parents are in a prison in Cuba. That's the Democrats? They're having the same moment the doomers are. Everything they told you was BS. And now they don't know what to do. Florida, I was on Ingram last night and I said, this is why I titled today's show, conveniently thrown in there again, this is a gift to Republicans. I don't vote Democrat ever. I don't vote Democrat primaries. I'm a registered Republican. I encourage you to register in a party too, or else you only get to vote once. I get to vote twice. You get to vote twice. Yes, I get to vote in a primary and an election. I don't get to vote twice in the same election. You don't register for a party, you get to vote once. Why would you do that? Even if you're like, well, I hate both parties. Fine, you may hate them. At least pick the lesser of two evils. You get to vote twice. You're muting your own voice. This woman, they don't know what to do with her now in Florida. The Republican Party is going to make her the face of the new Democrat socialist movement because she won. Then this happened yesterday too. Justin knew right away, just like that. He's like, let me guess, you want to group these together? Yes, I do. El Sayed in Michigan. El Sayed, The guy who wants Medicare for all, meaning your private insurance gets canceled, you have an employer plan you like, done, illegal. I showed you the text yesterday in the Wall Street Journal. No, Dan, that's not true. Freaking read a book, or in this case, a bill. I'm just a bill. Just look at the bill. It is unlawful to have private insurance when the Medicare for all covers that service. It's in the bill. You can look. El Sayed supports this. Imagine being a UAW, United Auto Workers Union member in Detroit. Big auto presence, Ford, GM. And you find out after years of busting your ass, forfeiting some salary increases for risk protection in your health insurance plan, that now your plan's illegal and you got to go in the government insurance pit. Imagine learning that. The Democrats are now having to digest all of this. You got a guy campaigning with a 9/11 apologist in Michigan. So this happens on C-SPAN. This Democrat operative, and again, I'm not telling you like, oh, look, these guys have finally seen the light. They saw the light a long time ago. I'm telling you now, they've done a calculation that now the primary season is over. We didn't expect this mess to be this big, and now they've got to clean it up. Watch what happens. This is a C-SPAN panel. You're going to hear this guy, Michael De La Rosa. First, you're going to hear the caller. The caller's like, what kind of Democrat are you? Because he's asking legitimate questions like, hey, I'm a Democrat. We got to deal with this craziness now. The caller's furious. He's a Democrat. But I want you to watch the response. You need to see it. It's been all over this morning. Check this out.
What kind of a Democratic strategist are you? Now that we're down to the general, and are you trying to get Democrats not to vote for him?
Well, I've never supported a Republican in my life for the Senate, for the White House, for Congress. And I don't live in Michigan, so, I mean, my opinion really doesn't matter that much. But I could never support El Sayed for a couple of reasons. One, there's certain things that do transcend politics, that do transcend parties. And that's okay. That's what I was saying. Vote blue no matter who. The problem with that is who still matters. At least it matters to me. And I just come from a time when I watched people jumping out of windows on 9/11, 70 miles from when the towers were falling and burning for 3 months. We could smell it from where I was from in Pennsylvania because of how the wind blew. It's personal to me. And 25 years later, somebody who can't stand up to his friends online, on streamers. I don't even know who these people are. But if you're too cowardly and too weak to stand up to somebody who justifies terrorism, who justifies 9/11, who justifies the suffering of people, all those people did was show up for work that day or showed up on an airplane. And this guy doesn't have it in him to say it's wrong to say that or to stand up to his friends. The test of leadership is not standing up to the other side. That's easy to do. Standing up to your friends, and he's too much of a coward to do it.
Folks, I'm really just trying my best to make sure we don't need to have these moments on our side. We've done a good job cleaning up our party, hence the Doomer meltdown yesterday as the season wrapped up. But it shouldn't have even gotten this far. Justin's video of the day. Justin, 2 videos of the day? Oh, Justin and Guy. Sorry, I missed that. Folks, 9/11 is not, when people say, oh, it's not a partisan issue, but they'll be like, healthcare is not a partisan issue. Yeah, sure it is. Republicans have ideas and Democrats have ideas. 9/11 is not a partisan issue. People died in the most horrific way, burning alive, jumping out of a 100-story building. There's no apology tour for that, for the Islamo fanatics. I want to tell you just something quick at the end that happened. Let me just take a quick break because I need to gather my thoughts. Because the fact that the Democrats waited this long and have to have these moments on C-SPAN now, in spite of rationally and intelligently early on as a party saying, hey guys, we can have thoughts on healthcare, education, law enforcement, the military. There's no alternative thought to 9/11 that says we deserve it. You can have the thought, but it's not a credible political idea that should be aired under our Democrat brand. This is just happening now. They're just coming to this realization now. We can't let that happen ours. Quick break, and let me write this down. I don't want to forget. Sorry. It's a live show. As you learned from the quantum capacitor meltdown this week, Hey, you know what's interesting? When you find something that works for you, you stick with it. I've been taking NAD Plus from All Family Pharmacy for a while now. I feel great. For me, it's become part of my routine. NAD Plus is popular for health and wellness. It's one of the reasons I started paying more attention to peptides and biohacking. I'm not the only one. Stuff's gone mainstream. Even the HHS secretary supported making peptides more accessible to regulated sources. People are looking into NAD+, peptides like sermorelin, glutathione, GLP-1s, and all kinds of options for helping them feel better as they get older. My father, he says, getting old, it ain't for the young. He wasn't kidding. 40 didn't feel like 40, but 50 sure as hell feels like 50. Do something about it. If you're curious about it, do your research and talk to a medical professional. I can tell you where I go. I use All Family Pharmacy. Just complete a secure medical form. A licensed physician reviews your request, and if appropriate, writes the prescription. Right now, they're giving my audience 25% off all biohacking products, peptides, NAD+, GLP options, and more. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/biohacking and use code Bongino25. Or you can give them a call at 561-717-6794, 561-717-6794. Again, Bongino25 for 25% off, prescription required. Always consult a medical professional before taking any medication. This is not medical advice. Thank you, All Family Pharmacy. Today's show also brought to you by Super Sure Insurance. Let me tell you something. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. A handshake, commission, then they're done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. Your business runs all year, and so do the gaps and the risks. That's why I'm introducing you to Super Sure. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just buy a policy online. Super Sure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At supersure.com, you can access tools like the fine print facts, which translates your current policy into plain English so you can see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what needs protecting. Go to supersure.com/Bongino, one super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. That's supersure.com/Bongino. Consult with a licensed insurance producer to discuss coverage options for your specific business needs. Paid for by Super Sure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency. Thank you, Super Sure. I really appreciate it. Folks, just quickly, we're so far past now 9/11. It doesn't seem like it to 50-year-olds because it was basically, halfway through our lives. But tautologically, not everyone's 50. There's a large and growing, population, thankfully, of younger folks out there. And they didn't see 9/11 like we did. The fact that 9/11 apologists for the Islamo-radicals that murdered thousands of Americans and altered the course of not just U.S. history, but world history, the fact that they are welcome in the big tent Democrat Party is all you need to know about where the Democrat Party is. I was a young Secret Service agent when it happened. And a lot of police officers from ESU is the New York City Police Department SWAT teams, Emergency Services Unit, right? They don't go by SWAT, they go by ESU. When I was a young police officer before my time in the Secret Service, ESU Truck 7, one of their units, turned out of our precinct in the 7-5. So I used to see them in the back. There was a parking lot area in the back of the precinct. And I remember, only reason I remember it is I wanted to be an emergency services guy. I just left for the Secret Service later. Everybody did. The old adage was when people need help, they call the cops. When the cops need help, they call ESU. I wanted to be an ESU guy so bad. So I'd see these guys come out, good shape. They got all the gear. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. A lot of those guys died. Truck 7 lost quite a few guys in the towers. And I think to myself, a lot. How many of those guys that I saw coming out was like, wow, I'm proud of that guy. I'd like to be one of those. How many of those guys did I pass whose kids don't have a dad? They sit there and Thanksgiving and Christmas for 20 plus years now since 9/11. All the could have been, would have been stories. What would have been like to have my dad walk me down the aisle at my wedding? What would have been like to have my father watch me graduate from college? What would it have been like for my dad to watch me get my badge? Maybe they became police officers themselves. Those are questions that'll never be answered. And I know it's decades later. I understand that. But to the younger folks out there who follow this Hassan Piker and these other guys, these apologists for this stuff, they've said it. Listen to their own words about deserving 9/11 and elsewhere. Just listen to their own words. Folks, there was no darker day in my lifetime. If you lived through that, you were scarred forever. And there is zero chance there's a constituency among sane people in the United States, young, old, or indifferent, that 9/11, we in fact deserved it. There is no constituency for that. And I'm really sorry it took you this long to wake up to it. Now, I said I'd show you this J.K. Rowling tweet. I did not forget. J.K. Rowling, of course, is a very famous author. She wrote the Harry Potter series. I think it's pretty clear she's not a MAGA person. Does not associate, with Republican or conservative politics, but she's been very vocal about the trans issue and other issues as well, which of course makes you an instant, enemy on the left. So I've been trying to push this into the conservative space, and thankfully it's starting to catch on. There are people out there on the doomer and grifter side, and I'm not talking about the ones that are paid. That those are just ops, okay? I'm talking, there are a lot of people out there who just fell for it and are still going with it. You see it now with all the nonsense, conspiracy crap, and it's turned into just complete ideological chaos. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. That's the goal. The problem I have is some people are shown, given on the cliched silver platter, hey, you believe in this, but this is not true, and here's the evidence. They're like, well, I don't believe that either. Folks, there are some people that are so far down the rabbit hole, you can't rescue them. J.K. Rowling addressed this in a tweet. You're seeing it now on both sides. The more nonsensical and obviously absurd a belief is, the more people who hold it or pretend to will resist recanting. Keep this up. That sounds almost counterintuitive. If an idea is clearly nonsensical, socialism works, space aliens killed Charlie or whatever it is, you would think people would forfeit that. That's not the way. But the crazier the idea, the more people resist recanting. She explains why. That's because the potential for humiliation rises in direct proportion to the ridiculousness of what they've publicly swallowed. They have no choice but to double down. The crazier the idea, once people look in the mirror and have to say to themselves, I can't believe I bought the space alien nonsense. It's that moment where you have to accept the fact that you fell for it. They will not do it. They will go to the grave drinking the Kool-Aid, for those of you who have heard the expression before. They will never let it go. This phenomenon is everywhere. Now, so you may say to yourself, rightly so, Dan, what's the point then? Why do you continue to do the show to this group of people interested in the truth if there's other people out there who, despite no matter how many times you show them the results, what happened, they're not going to buy it? Why would you continue to do it? The answer is I learned during campaigning for office myself that there's always a third party listening. Always, always. I used to campaign at state fairs, county fairs. I can't tell you how many liberals. I ran in Maryland, one of the most blue states in the union. I would be out there with Bongino for Congress sign. There was always some lunatic that would come up. You suck. Why do I suck? School choice sucks. Why does it suck? And you'd let them scream and they would vent. They would blow up and lose their minds. You would convince them of nothing. You'd be like, well, why not just give the parents a choice? They pay for the schools. Screw the parent, whatever. There was always a third person who was listening. They'd be like this, the pose, not the pose like the other guy, but they'd come up to you after the exchange and they would say, hey man, I heard your arguments there. And I didn't really know how important the school choice thing was, but it would happen all the time. I mean, I'm not using exact language. I don't want to be dramatic, but there's always a third person listening. You see it now with all these ops out there everywhere. The current thing just pops up out of nowhere. You see it with this Lindsay Clancy case. People have an opinion based purely on emotion. This A.G. Hamilton put this up about data centers. Folks, we have no way out of the debt crisis we're in without winning the AI race. We'll be dead. It's the anti-data center stuff's insane, and clear evidence we have entered it's clear evidence we've entered a post-truth era where many people can be convinced, often by malicious actors, to abandon reality and allow conspiracies and falsehoods to drive policy preferences. Let me just be, again, crystal clear. I've invested in the tech economy for a long time. I am not telling you in your community how to vote. That's your business. I don't live in your community. I live in mine. You don't like them, fine. You don't like an issue, fine. Just don't become emotion focused, become problem focused. And the way to fix a problem is to gather the data, do a net present value, what works for you and what doesn't. The excuse isn't like, let's scuttle the ships, burn the ships, and blow the whole country up. I'm going to give you some economic numbers. We got to get to this at the end of the show, the debt thing and that Parker thing. I'm going to show you what I mean. All of the things people care about, Republicans and Democrats, saving your retirement. Democrats, believe in Social Security. A lot of Republicans believe retirement can be done, other ways. Social Security's got some issues. Tax money, roads, schools, all of this stuff is dependent on us solving problems. If we get lost in every single op, just like what happened with the nuclear power industry and elsewhere, you're going to find yourself in a place where 5 years from now, maybe less, we're all under cyber attack. Put that Kelly Mayer thing up at the end. We're all under cyber attack because we lost the AI race, and you're going to be like, my gosh, I know it wasn't the current thing at the time, but maybe I should have spoken up. Here, Kelly Mayer News on X. The NSA, CISA, FBI, DOE, and EPA are all warning Americans this afternoon of the threat of unidentified hackers trying to breach devices made by Siemens that are used to monitor and operate water facilities and other critical infrastructure systems. Sounds like something we've done. I've only mentioned ICS, industrial control system attacks, cyber attacks on water and elsewhere 1,000 times. Folks, this threat is real. Just because some random account told you on Twitter, like, you should not do this because I said so, paid for by so-and-so, doesn't mean we should commit national suicide. It's not easy to have to tell people the truth. Being a current thinger is easy in this business. It is. It's the easiest thing to do. Speaking of which, when you fall for the current thing, sometimes like lunatics will burst into your studio. Sometimes. This happened the other day. Some lunatic bursted in here screaming. This is what happens when you fall for the current thing and you're an emotion. Look at that, a little static. Yeah. Okay, you got the other camera? Oh, the other camera. You believe this? This is crazy. It happened in the studio the other day. I'm glad you had the multiple camera view. Justin picked up on what I was putting. All right, disclaimer. This is not, in fact, someone who broke into the studio screaming and yelling. We have very good security. This is, in fact, the Senate nominee in Florida, Angie Nixon, screaming like a lunatic on the House floor in the state of Florida. Folks, this is what it looks like when everything is the current thing all the time. She really thinks this sells. Andy, you look like you have something to say there. I was just thinking that. Folks in the chat. Andy just said something I was thinking too. Did you catch it in the chat? The outfit, the pink outfit, she's got the matching megaphone. That must be part of the op. Make sure it looks really cute. The microphone's got to, the megaphone, has got to match the outfit. Folks, it's all an op, man. It's all BS. This is what current thingers look. This is what the doomers look like yesterday. I mean, I'm telling you, I haven't seen a meltdown like yesterday in a long time since I came back to the radio and they all freaked out. Before we go any further, I want to address another current thing. It's not a doomer current thing. This is a left-wing media current thing. Folks, there are so many people in the left-wing media who will fall for the dumbest of current things. And the latest current thing, some of you know where I'm going with this, is President Trump has a personal aide, Natalie Harp. She's very nice. She does great work for him. I mean, you're not going to meet someone more dedicated to the MAGA mission than Natalie Harp. You're just not. Whether you like her or not, I don't care. I'm not interested. Just like I really don't care. I'm not going to say I don't care, but I'm just like, it's not going to alter my behavior at all if you like me or don't, not one bit. In other words, I don't care enough to change telling you the truth. Neither does she or President Trump. But the left-wing media hates Natalie Harp. She is the new, that's it. On the dartboard, they're throwing the darts. This is what it looks like when you're screaming into a pink megaphone with the pink outfit on the House floor like a crazy lunatic. This is what it looks like on TV, absent the screaming, but the effect is the same. They're upset that Natalie Harp, who's a personal aide to the president, is so good at her job that even when this story requires a little bit of background, forgive me. I was a motorcade agent twice in the Secret Service. I went back as the whip. Sometimes in the motorcade, there are mistakes. Every vehicle is manifested. You do not just get in. If this is boring, I'm sorry. It's important you understand this story, though, because, again, speaks to my point how the media doesn't know anything. Apparently, they're like SUVs they have trunks now. Maybe some SUVs may have trunks, not the SUVs we use. In the trunk, like an old car. Like, remember Goodfellas where they throw Billy Bats in the trunk? There's this crazy CNN story. She got in the trunk of the car. There's no trunk in the SUV. She got in the well that has a seat in the back. Sometimes when you're doing a motorcade, occasionally one of the manifests will be wrong and someone's missing. And it always looks like this. We call it like ring around the vehicle. When they're running around the vehicle, where's my spot? Where's my spot? It happens. CNN, this was a huge story yesterday. They threw Natalie Harp in the trunk. Oh my gosh. I watched this story. I'm like, Vince brought this up on his show. I'm like, really? Let me listen to check this out.
What more are you learning about Natalie Harp?
Well, it just shows you how much she cares about President Trump and how she wants to be in proximity to him. This was back in 2023 when President Trump was in court in New York, and he was going down to head to the courthouse, and the motorcade was waiting outside of Trump Tower when staffers realized that there weren't enough seats for Natalie Harp. They hadn't accounted that she would be going down to the courthouse, and she was told that. Now, a screaming match then ensued in the lobby of Trump Tower at that time, with essentially Harp saying that the president had personally asked her to go, and she was so determined to not be left behind that she actually got in the trunk of one of the SUVs that was part of the motorcade and sat there. It's almost like a cargo hold.
It's not a cargo hold, you imbecile. There's a well in the back. Have you ever seen a Chevy Suburban or a Tahoe or a Yukon? An Escalade? They're all basically the same frame. They're modified many times with the seat in the back. And even if they're not modified, sometimes people will just open the back gate if the manifest is wrong, and they'll just sit sideways. They were going to the courthouse. It was like a 2-minute motorcade. This is only a scandal on CNN. Now, I want you to keep in mind, someone said in the chat, thank you, your experience is always, I appreciate it. I don't want to bore you. That's it. This happens a lot. It happens in elevators too. Sometimes the Secret Service will miss someone in an elevator. You get in an elevator with your name on it. If you don't belong in the elevator. These mistakes happen, not often, but they happen. This is not a nightly news story on cable TV. I want to prove to you too that Natalie Harp as a personal aide is just a Trump story. It's not a story. They just want to attack President Trump. The Doomers too, by the way, will harp on this too, some of them. Have you ever heard negative stories about Reggie Love? Like, who's Reggie Love? Thank you. Exactly. Justin, no. Do you know? Folks in the chat, do you know who that is? First person who gets it, put him up on the screen. Most of you don't even know who he is. That's the point. Reggie Love was Obama's personal aide. Traveled with him everywhere. Why weren't there big scandals like, oh my gosh, he jumped in a well one time? The answer is because it was Obama, and the media loves Obama, so they didn't care. What about George W. Bush, 43? What about his personal aide? The guy's name was it Blake? I remember we worked with Blake. I don't remember his name. It doesn't really matter. Why wasn't he a huge story? The answer is because he wasn't Trump either. They just hate Donald Trump. Folks, these are just dumb, stupid stories. Yes, Pimp Daddy Payne. Is that like Big Daddy Kane? Obama's personal assistant. Yes, Pimp Daddy Payne. Missed a couple letters. You did get it up fast. Ain't no half-stepping. Some of you will get that. You guys don't get that at all, do you? You're way too young. Look it up. Look it up right now. Anyone in the chat get that? Okay. Folks, ops are everywhere. The current thing today is Natalie Harp. The current thing, this is what I was, ever since I got back on the air, I get this question a lot in our email. I get it in DM messages people send my team. Dan, why the hate, man, towards you? Why the hate towards Cash? Why the hate towards basically anyone in the Trump, Natalie Harper? Why the hate? Folks, I told you the answer is to demoralize you and get you to hate the administration no matter what. But many of these people are afraid to take on the president directly because they know they'll get squashed. So they think they can pick off people around him one by one. I've warned people in the administration. It's only a matter of time before they come for you too. Their only agenda is demoralization. Ops are everywhere. Ari Fleischer pointed this out yesterday about the polling scandal I pointed out yesterday. How, folks, you can take most of the polls you read and throw them right in the garbage. Most of them are completely, utterly worthless. Ari Fleischer put this post up on X. It was Quantus Insights, had this thing. Great work here from Patrick Ruffini. Across 3,300 Senate polls over 4 cycles, he finds the Democrats have a plus 3.7 average error, basically in their direction, with 73% of polls overstating Democrats. Even more interesting is that the error peaks around Democrats plus close to 6 in late July before narrowing toward Election Day. Ari Fleischer says, everyone, pay attention to this. Stop thinking polls are accurate. They've long been biased towards D's. This careful study shows by how much. Folks, it's a scam. These things are ops. They are not legitimate. Now, there are some polling outlets that do their homework. The point is, many of them don't. And until they can fix their statistical errors, what's the point of a poll? I hate to go over this again. But think about, do you understand the statistical difference between reliability and validity? I'm going to think of an analogy here about polls. Polls are reliable, but not valid. Wait, Dan, that's crazy. The problem is people don't understand the difference and they take the polls as if they're reliable and valid. What do I mean? Imagine getting on a scale, to measure your weight. I have one in my little gym in the house, right? Imagine you get on a scale and the scale is off every day by 5 pounds. It adds 5 pounds. So I'm about 195. So what would the scale say? 200. Now, if you know the scale is reliable, it's reliably wrong, but it's reliable. It's reliably wrong by the same thing, but it's not valid. It's not measuring your weight. Your weight's not 200, it's 195. But you understand there's an error built in that's reliable, so it's reliable, just not valid. That's what people don't understand about polls. They think they're both. Oh, this is a valid measure. The Democrats are going to win. It's not a valid measure. They're wrong by about 5 to 6 points. If you don't know that, you don't show up at the polls. You're like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose. We're going to get smoked. I'm just trying to help you recognize these ops out there. They're everywhere. These polls, this is a fact. It's not an opinion. The polls over the last 4 cycles said this, and this happened. The elections are over. The data is not disputable. Take the polls, roll them in a ball, and they're garbage. They are reliably wrong. You can add between 3 and 6 points to every Republican's result in a lot of these races, and then you'll have a better idea of where they stand. Folks, some of these same people, again, the Folex MAGA guys do this too. They're reliably wrong every single time. Reliably wrong. Therefore, their opinions are not valid. The scale is not measuring your weight. You're not 200 pounds. No, people didn't come from Jupiter, the planet, not down in South Florida, and engage in some murderous conspiracy. You've been reliably wrong every single time. Your opinion is not valid. Everything you say has been proven wrong. And yet the doomers continue. Nothing is happening. Well, here's what happened. Nothing happened on the COVID case. Well, this happened yesterday. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to move on to my other reliably wrong opinion. Will Chamberlain put this post up the other day. I bet you've been told too, the Trump administration, they're just not deporting it. It's unbelievable. I don't know where this came from. Tom Homan's disputed it. The Trump administration's disputed it. Mullen, the DHS has disputed it. They've given you actual numbers. People are either deported or they're not. Nothing is happening. Andy, how would you know someone's deported? Andy's like, they're not here? Like we sent them. This isn't hard. The Poly Market, just in, U.S. refugee admissions are now on pace to hit their lowest? No, this isn't Superman and lowest level on record, with nearly all refugees admitted this fiscal year coming from South Africa. I heard the Trump administration had given up. Will Chamberlain notes, yeah, but being sarcastic, obviously. Yeah, but Trump isn't doing anything on immigration, or so I'm told. He's being sarcastic. Folks, these people are reliably wrong. Everything they tell you is wrong. It's the scale that doesn't measure your weight. So why are their opinions going forward valid on anything? I don't know why you would fall for that. There are other people out there. I'm talking about Folex MAGA. Forget it, folks. It's over. There's no energy in the midterms. It's already lost. Look at the polls. Forget the liberals. I'm talking about Folex MAGA, people on our side. Then you see these numbers out of Florida. Put up that Daughtry tweet. I thought nobody cared. I thought everybody was demoralized. Nothing is happening. We've stopped deporting people. Massive amounts of refugees being admitted into the country. Crime out of control. There's nobody being investigated for anything. I thought that was all happening and everybody was pissed off. Eric Daughtry, breaking. Florida Republicans now lead Democrats by nearly 12 points in primary voting statewide, which is weird because the GOP's total registration advantage is only 11 points. Election day turnout, 521,000 Republicans, 236,000 Dems. Notes, Republicans are overperforming above and beyond even their insane registration. I thought everybody was miserable. Like Ronald McDonald. I thought, what? Again, it's almost like you've been being told things by people where those are just numbers, folks, you can prove. People either turned out and voted or they didn't. People were either deported or they weren't. Refugees were either admitted into the country, they weren't. People were either killed or they weren't. Like the homicide rate is either down or it's not. You don't invent dead people. There's no this isn't the Sixth Sense. I see dead people. That's not how this works. I just refuse to be miserable. And it drives people freaking crazy. It does. It drives them nuts. They just can't get over the fact that they cannot make this show go away. They have tried forever. And it just pisses them off because their audiences shrink as this thing expands. We're now moving back into radio. Oh, by the way, there was a little confusion about that. Sorry, I don't mean to get sidetracked. My podcast isn't going anywhere. Nothing is changing. 10 a.m., I'll see you here live every day. The radio show, again, is going to be starting on Monday. First hour, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. I know the Doomers are upset. I'm sorry. You're going to have to seek some help on that. I can't help you, okay? There's also more news coming about radio. For those who think it's a one-off, it's not. 3 to 6 nationally, radio stations across the country. Sean Ferris is going to be live from 3 to 4, first hour. My 4 to 6 show is going to be some of the content from the podcast along with some original content too. So, but it doesn't affect the podcast at all. I probably should have been a little bit more clear on that. But the show is expanding and there's more news ahead. I know that's going to upset everyone. I don't want us to descend into chaos. We're going to be happy warriors in this movement because I choose not to be miserable. I wake up every morning and I told you, I say, I'm Dan Bongino. I love Jesus and Jesus loves me. Why? Because it's true, man. Manifest good things in your life. Smile a little bit. Got to walk around screaming and yelling all the time about nothing's happening. You want to turn into these guys? This is what a movement looks like when the math doesn't math and chaos completely sets in and you'll say anything to anyone at any time. This is Talafrico, the Democrat nominee for the United States Senate in the state of Texas. He goes in, is this the Breakfast Club? I think it's the Breakfast Club, right? It is, the Breakfast Club, which is a very popular morning show nationwide. I think it's Charlemagne and his crew. They have a huge audience. But he goes on the show and he's asked about the Carmelo Anthony case, not the basketball player, the stabbing case. Many of you know Austin Metcalf. It's a horrible case, right? Horrible case. He says one of the craziest things I've ever heard because Carmelo Anthony happens to be black and the person who was murdered, Austin Metcalf, is white, that somehow the conviction in this case shouldn't matter because there was nobody black on the jury? Does that argument work the other way? Do you realize how crazy it would be? And was it voir dire, the selection process? If an attorney for a white suspect in the case was like, we only want white people, it would sound crazy, right? It would not be a reliable or valid opinion. This guy is a nutbag. Now you see why they call him Talafrico. He believes in multiple genders. This guy's a nut. He's running in Texas. He's not running in Illinois. He's not running for Chicago mayor. Let's listen to this crap.
Texas, we see what happened with Carmelo Anthony, and you said it was a tragedy.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I've done a lot of work in the State House on justice reform, and right now we've got a system that doesn't serve all Americans equally, and we know that black Texans have been have not gotten the justice they deserve in many cases. And you know, I'm not an expert on this particular case, but I know that there were no black members of the jury. And to me, that's the only evidence you need to really prove that this system is not working for black Texans.
You guys ever get picked for jury duty? You did? I didn't know this was a way out. You did? You got called. Did you actually get picked? Is an answer now? So just to be clear, like if I were to get picked for jury duty, right? This is how insane this Talafrico guy is. All he had to do was say, listen, I trust the American citizen enough, white, black, Asian, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, it doesn't matter. If you're on a jury, you're not going to you're not going to convict someone and vote for their guilt just because of their skin color. That's the answer. It's not hard. Josh, you ever get picked for jury duty? He was juror number one. I didn't know a way out of it was to say, hey, man, that guy's Asian, I'm white, I'm no good for this. Wouldn't you be admitting you're a racist? This is what it looks like when a movement becomes not reliable or reliably wrong, I should say, therefore not valid. You want to vote for this guy in Texas? Racially segregated juries? What are we back to Jim Crow juries now? I thought they always claimed they were the party against Jim Crow, which is ridiculous if you read the history. Right, exactly. Why isn't it the lawyers like oh my gosh, we got all white people here. Like, what? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Folks, this is what it looks like when the math doesn't math and your opinions are reliably wrong. Put up the Wall Street Journal article. You've got this lady now running in Florida, Angie Nixon, the screamer, pink megaphone, pink outfit, screaming like a lunatic. She's a Medicare for All supporter. So is Al Sayed. He's trying to run away from it now, and so is she. Al Sayed in Michigan, 2 Democrats. Medicare for All, meaning your insurance gets canceled, period. It's in the Bernie Sanders bill. I showed it yesterday. Watch the show. Look at the section if you think I'm making it up. Unlike your show, our show is reliable and valid. We were right. So they have a piece up, James Freeman, in yesterday's Wall Street Journal, and he's citing an article about what government-run healthcare for all looks like. He notes in Canada, the closest country to the U.S. that has universal healthcare spending is responsible for 12.7% of GDP. Several points higher, does that say higher? I thought this was going to save money, than the average spend of OECD countries. They note, despite this higher spending, the median waiting time between referral from a GP and receiving the treatment from some specialist has hit 28.6 weeks, which is 208% longer than the wait Canadian patients would have experienced in 1993. They note from April 2023 to March 2024, almost 15,000 people died waiting for healthcare in Canada, according to a Freedom of Information request. So just to be clear, keep this up for a second, fellas. You're going to pay vastly more on average through your taxes for government bureaucrats to tell you when and where you can have your chest cracked open if you have a heart attack. You're going to have waiting times that exceed by far sane, reasonable averages around the world where you have free market health care and you pick yourself. And you're also going to have it rationed to the point where tens of thousands of people die on a waiting list. Those are just numbers. Those are just numbers, man. This is what it looks like when the math doesn't math. Why would you believe that a government bureaucrat gives a damn about your health care? Because they care about, most of them can't even figure out how to get you a driver's license in the DMV. Here's also what it looks like when the math doesn't math. Remember the New York City grocery stores with Kamdami? They want New York City government-run grocery stores. Ladies and gentlemen, the government can't get you a driver's license. They want to run a grocery store? The way they're going to make the grocery store cheaper is by using your money to buy food for not you. Very few people are going to get into this grocery store because they're going to run out of products. But your tax dollars in Queens, I lived in Queens, are going to be used to pay for a grocery store in Manhattan. That's the way they're cheap. This isn't hard. That's reliable and valid. An apple here is 10 cents. Well, that's not what an apple costs. No, it does when taxpayers pay for it. It's whatever you want. You just take taxpayer money. But there's a problem. The problem is the math don't math and the scale don't work. Because now other grocery stores in the area that have been serving their community forever are like, hey, man, whatever, I have to charge $1 for an apple. I can't afford to charge 10 cents because that's not what I paid for it. So you're going to put me out of business with taxpayer money. I've been serving the community forever. So how do you make the math not math and try to make the math math? Here is a Mamdani administration official saying, don't worry. This is real. This is not crazy. It is crazy, but I'm telling you, this is real. She's like, don't worry. We're going to take more of your taxpayer dollars and then give money to the other grocery stores to make up for the money they're going to lose to the taxpayer-funded grocery store. This actually happened. That Justin's like, now I get it. Now the math is mathing. I'm not joking with you, man. Check this out.
Ultimately, the goals of these locations, not just here in East Harlem, but any borough location, is to be complementary to the neighborhood, and really, rising tides. Right? We can all cooperate and work together in a meaningful way. Do
you mind? What is the? I've heard that term from EDC officials that these are meant to be complementary. What does that mean? What does that complementary mean in terms of policy, operations, and things like that?
Yeah, I think we're, as an agency, looking at a number of different complementary, policies and programs, grants, incentives that can come alongside these grocery stores to support other, local independent businesses that are in the neighborhoods. We're going to continue to listen and we're going to continue to engage. And it'll be, alongside the operator as our partner. And like I said, making sure that we are complementary to the other businesses that are here in the neighborhood.
So other locations, other grocery stores can get grants from the city under this?
Something on the table. We're exploring a lot of different options and opportunities. I think, there's a whole host of levers that the EDC is able to work within to make sure that, everyone has equitable and equal access to opportunities here.
Thank you.
These guys are laughing their asses off. They're like, what are you guys laughing about? Open the door. Like, I feel like I'm not in on the joke. They're like, you see the movie Dune? I'm like, yeah, everybody saw the movie Dune. They're like, that's Paul Atreides. And I looked twice. I'm like, oh my gosh. The Dune 3 is coming out. It's going to be a grocery store. The sandworms? Yeah, they need a lot of food. They're really big. They're going to go to the Mamdani grocery store. Paul Atreides. Oh my gosh. Dude, that is so weird. I hate that, bro. That is, put that up again. Holy Moses. You did it. You actually made me laugh about something that I didn't put in the show myself. Molly's in the chat. Paul Atreides running a grocery store. What do they call him again? What's his thing? Lisa El Gaib. You got the guy from No Country for Old Men in Cape Fear. I forget his name. The liberal dude with where's the palace? He's screwed. El Gaib. That is so crazy, man. Paul Atreides is running the grocery store. Paul Atreides, that is so weird, man. It's Paul Atreides, not Paula Atreides. You got to get that. It's like Jay's Abacus. Some of you will get that. I want to show you another video. A segment. Gavin Newsom trying to make the math. So Gavin Newsom's obviously running for president, hair gel out in California. The problem Gavin Newsom has is Gavin Newsom's the governor of California. What do you mean, Dan? How you run on California and the exodus from it. Like, my policies are so popular in one of the most beautiful states in the union. They have amazing weather, coastline, everything, that people can't get out fast enough. The problem Gavin Newsom has is Gavin Newsom is the governor of California. That's the problem. I want you to, after this, I'm going to show you a video where he's trying to make the healthcare numbers look good. So he basically says the quiet part out loud, and he's proud of it. How he made the numbers look good. Our percentage of insured people. Wait, are they here legally? No, so we're paying people who aren't even citizens for health care? Yes. Quick break. Folks, I got to tell you about something I've started using before Paul and I head out on a Friday night. It's called Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. What does it do? Well, for me, here's what it's about. It's about enjoying a night out, having a few adult beverages, and being ready for everything I have planned the next day. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic drink created by PhD scientists. It's designed to produce an enzyme that breaks down a byproduct created when alcohol is processed in the gut. Just make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Enjoy your adult beverages responsibly, and you're set up for the next day. In fact, that's exactly what happened to me. After a night out, I took pre-alcohol, was amazed, woke up feeling really great, could still hit my workouts, go on with the day, not feeling sluggish or anything from the night before. Mondays don't move for anyone. Pre-alcohol works overnight, so you can have a real weekend and still show up sharp. So how do you get it? Go to zbiotics.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 15% off. That's zbiotics.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 15% off. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. They're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease or condition. Thanks, Z-Biotics. Give them a shot. Here again is what it looks like. Gavin Newsom, who's reliably wrong. Therefore, his opinions on anything going forward should not be valid. He's talking about how the percentage of uninsured people in his state beats Texas. What he doesn't tell you is the same fake Paul Atreides trick this lady just tried to pull. Hey, we're going to lower prices. Yeah, of course you are. By other taxpayers paying for other people to get basically free food. That's how this works. You can lower the percentage of uninsured people all you want. If the taxpayers in your state are forced to finance health care for illegals. Check this out.
Right to assess what we've done on expansion. And we've done about as much or more than any other state in the nation. We're about 5.9% uninsured rate. Put that just for perspective in contrast to a state like Texas, gets a lot of attention, a large state. They're close to 16.7%. They're in 16 to 17%. California's below 6%. That's a choice. They've made that choice. We've made a different choice. Now that we've expanded healthcare in a controversial way, I'm not naive, and I'll take the grief. I said I'm committed to universal healthcare, and I meant it. The voters supported me on multiple occasions, and we delivered it regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and immigration status.
Oh, and immigration status. Thanks for cutting that right there where you can see exactly what he means. Folks, life is a trade-off. Everything is a trade-off. You've heard the cliche, there's no free lunch. There is no free lunch. All you have to do is ask yourself, is this scale reliable and valid? Is his number reliable? Is his number valid? How did he get there? Well, he got there by taking your taxpayer dollars and giving them away to illegals. That's how he did it. That's how they make the math. Sometimes we need a cerebral cortex, cerebellum, medulla oblongata. We need a cleanse. This is a clip from Phil Donahue's show years ago. Milton Friedman, who, if you haven't seen clips of Milton Friedman, however old they may be, they're all epic. There's not a non-epic Milton Friedman video segment about how stupid the politics of envy are, whether it's doomers and others who just don't like the Trump administration. Like, this is just a spiral of hatred. Milton Friedman gets into it with this lady, for Milton Friedman, I shouldn't say gets into it with this. That could be taken on this way. But they're on the Phil Donahue show. And the lady's like, I can't believe there are all these rich people. They don't need the money. That's not the point. What they do with the money is what matters. And watch the lady just puzzled when Friedman just gives her economic common sense that's both reliable and valid. Check this out.
Why is it we have so many millionaires and everything in the United States, and we still have so many impoverished people who try to get up into the world? They can only eat that much, sleep in the bed.
And what do you suppose they do? If they don't eat it and don't use it, what do you suppose they do?
They hoard it.
And what do you mean they hoard it? You mean they put it under their pillows?
That's right. No, they keep investing it.
Investing it in what?
That's right. Yeah.
What are they invested in?
Well, in oil and everything, all these other people who are
What are they invested in? Don't get off the subject.
No.
What are they invested in?
Well, they invested in a lot of different things that the little people need.
Well, do they invest it in factories?
Yes.
Does some of that money end up in machines?
Yes.
Do those factories and machines provide ordinary working people with jobs or not? What do you suppose the productivity of this country would be and of the wage rate would be if the total amount of capital in this country today was what it was 100 years ago? Where do you suppose the improvements in productivity come from except from the investment by people of their savings? But let me go to your fundamental question. First place, nirvana is not for this world. There is no paradise. Of course we've got a lot of people who are poorly off. But if you look at it over time, if you get a sense of proportion, the well-being of ordinary people has been the main thing that has been improved by economic progress and economic growth and development. And most residual hard cases of poverty today are the result, again, of a failure of government. Why do we have a black teenage unemployment rate in 30 to 40%? Because of two failures of government. One, a failure to provide decent schooling, which is a governmental responsibility. Has been, whether it should be or not, it has been. And second, because of a minimum wage rate, which prevents those kids who haven't had decent schooling from getting jobs at low pay at which they can earn the skills on the jobs that would enable them to rise to higher pay. If you look at the sources of poverty, you will find most of them are derived from what I regard as wrong-headed government policies.
Somebody said in the chat, that's the original Karen. And someone said, is that a dog on her head? Nah, listen, that lady, she just doesn't know. She's giving you this simple, I can't believe they're rich people. They don't need the money. Well, what do you think they did with the money? How do you think the country got so rich that we're the richest country on earth by far? By far. How do you think we got here? By handing over all of your profits to the government to redistribute them out to people rather than investing them in factories and products and research and R&D. How do you think we got here, man? And then she's like, well, why are people still poor? It's a very simple answer. The government has a monopoly, a near monopoly over the public education system. I say near monopoly because some kids can escape where there's school choice. Some just can't. They don't have the money. And they can't even teach a kid. And then when they can't teach them anything, Friedman's right. They go out into the market and their skills may be worth, I don't know, $15 an hour in today's inflated economy. And the minimum wage in a state is 17 or whatever. And they're not going to hire them. So then they can't even get a job. The government is the cause of all of your problems. It is not the solution. Our comment of the day. Once a week, we give away $1,776 to a listener out there, viewer of the show. If you want to see the official rules for the contest, go to Bongino.com/1776. We do it because we love you. The contest's been going great. We really appreciate it. We've had, 3, 4, 5 winners now? We're racking them up. So we really appreciate it. We love doing it. And I know that's a good amount of money for a lot of folks, and we like doing it. So who is the comment of the day today? I see it when you see it. Fake drum roll, please. MKG1170 in the chat. And in the chat, Dan Show, all caps, is so good. They hack attack us, LOL. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Once in a while, who knows? Maybe it was like the North Koreans or someone like shut the show. Hey, maybe it was we did that story about ICSs, industrial control systems. Maybe they're like, we'll show them Attack his network. Look, we'll show you he's not kidding. We really appreciate it. We'll pick a winner once a week on that. Bongino.com/1776. Speaking of Sean, make sure you tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern time. His new show is doing amazing numbers. We really appreciate it. Hundreds of thousands of views. Rumble.com/Sean, SHAWN, every day at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Haley coming up at noon. Rumble.com/Haley. Vince every day at 8 a.m. in the morning. Rumble.com/Vince. We really appreciate you supporting this next generation of content creators out there. They do a really good job. Download the free Rumble app to watch. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you want to watch on the web, that's cool too. Rumble.com/Bongino. Just click that follow button. And we will see you back here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania.
I'm Sean Farish, host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
Host of Sean Farish Live. You can always catch my show right here. Right here.
Right here on the Bongino Report channel.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays.
1 p.m. Eastern time.
And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.
And thank you for your attention to this matter.